Yeah, I think when you look at what's happening right now in New York State, not many people have any grassroots following, right? That's the issue. And what I think makes me special is of the three people really running now, which is myself, Kathy Hochul, the governor, and Lee Zeldin, is that I'm the only one with any grassroots. I'm the only one who people are actively talking about. Sadly, for I think the governor, she's much more of a placeholder. Most people didn't know who she was until after Cuomo stepped down. So she just jumps into his shoes. And the Republican is just the establishment guy who had the most money. But it's not because they have any ideas or policies or any actual grassroots. People know me for the past 5 years. I've been running around this state forever, since 2017, visiting every county, giving ideas, trying to fix things. And I think most people, even if you don't like me, you know I'm actually trying to fix something.
Right. All right, so Larry, I don't mean to have to conduct the same interview we've conducted in the past, but let me just start and get out of the way. Just remind me of your bio, just your
Sure.
background.
100%. As most people know me, I'm a New York City um, business consultant. I'm a New York City business consultant who doesn't want to move. I love my state. I want to fix this state. New York State is a beautiful state that people love and that I love. The problem is our government's been broken for at least a decade, if not a couple of decades. So I've been trying to cross this state as I ran in 2018 to try to fix things, to provide actual solutions. And now I'm trying to do it again in 2022. My skill set, I hope, is repairing things and coming up with policies and ideas. The thing that we don't see, if you look at the Democrats right now, all they ever do is go, Republicans bad. What do Republicans do? Democrats bad. They don't have any policies or ideas. The state's been collapsing for a decade at least. The Republicans have watched it happen and have no plans. The Democrats have been the ones creating the plans. So now we have two parties in New York State. Democrats are the party of bad ideas, and Republicans are the party of no ideas. I'm the party of good ideas.
Gotcha. All right. So why don't you just rattle off, a handful of your ideas? What sort of policies would you enact if you were governor, and how would that help New York?
There are so many ways we have to fix New York. One of them, of course, is our budget, right? Our budget is a terrible issue. We've been losing people, 2.5 million people in the past 10 years, whatever the number is, and just getting worse. And our policies punish small business owners. They punish individual people. The way we create jobs is just by creating government jobs. And I'm not against government jobs. Any job that pays your bills is a good job. But we have to create an environment where the private sector wants to create more jobs, isn't running off to Florida and Tennessee and South and North Carolina. Instead, they're staying here and building and growing. People should be building their careers here, going to school here, retiring here. So there are many issues I want to deal with. One of them was to keep seniors here, right? Imagine if you owned a home in New York State for just 10 or 15 years, depending upon what we want to create for the actual policy. Once you do that and you turn 65, at 65, your property tax goes down 5% every year until 85. What does that do? It gives you an incentive to stay in this state. You don't have to stay in that house. If you want to move and you want to, downsize into the house or something, doesn't matter. That percentage follows you wherever you go as long as you're staying in New York State. I'm trying to incentivize our retirees to stop spending their pensions in Florida. And they are in droves. They are spending their pensions in Florida, and it's our fault, not theirs. We can create an environment where we're more inviting to have them stay here. But I'll go more radical. That's a kind of special, but let me go more radical. Imagine if we created an actual New York State currency. I'm not joking. An actual New York State coin that we used to pay for education. Education is one of our biggest problems we have here. $60 billion, the most we've spent, ever. We spent over $28,000 per kid in this state, and we rank at best 25th and at worst 37th in the country. So nothing but a failure. Our education system is completely broken, and all we ever do is say, let's just promote people and give them more money. System's completely broken. What if we create an actual New York State currency? We have a New York State currency. We call it the Yorkie. I know it sounds cool, but I like it. It's the name of the new New York City currency, New York State currency. And we now spend that for education. Now you might say, Larry, is that legal? Of course it is. Is it difficult? Of course it is. But here's the best part. If it's a New York State currency, several things happen, and we're paying for education. Number one, the education budget comes out of our budget. So $60 billion gone. Budget goes from about 220 to about 160 immediately within a year. So now we've got a chance of having a budget that actually might work for us. We can survive with, number one. But number two, since it's a New York State currency, it can't cross New York State borders. It's got to stay within New York State. So when I'm paying for my school books, when I'm paying for, my consultants, whatever I'm paying for must be New York State created, which means now I'm creating an industry within New York State. I'm encouraging the private sector to come here. You've got to produce the stuff here in New York State so I can spend it. Well, Larry, I don't know if I want to spend Yorkies. No worries. It's a $60 billion industry. People will want the money. Well, Larry, what if I don't want to spend the actual Yorkie? No worries. We have our financial institutions here in New York State, which love transaction fees. With a transaction fee, turn it back into dollars if you're going to spend it in dollars. If you want to spend it locally to create local economies, which would have been great during our pandemic right now, now you have a local economy. But I'm still not done on how good this idea is. On top of that, now I now give that money directly from Albany to each school district. I pay directly to district. You get 18,000 Yorkies per kid, or whatever number we think is the right number. I made that number up for sake of argument. You get 18,000 Yorkies per kid per school district. Your school district gets bigger or smaller, you get more or less money. It's all good. You keep getting that money. But it's the most important piece. If the money goes directly from Albany, which it must because of our Constitution, what's the need for school tax? There is none. If there's no need for school tax, you end school tax. Ending school tax will cut the average New Yorker, give or take, their property tax will be cut in about half. If their property tax is cut in half, an actual plan to cut property tax, and you've never heard that before. You've heard garbage people tell you, which will never work. I've given you an actual plan to cut property tax. You do that, rents stabilize. If rents stabilize, the youth can stay in our state. They don't have to leave because they can't afford to stay in our state. The youth can move out of their parents' house. That's not a bad idea either. People can stay in expensive places because the rents will stabilize. Not just that, rents also stabilize for small businesses. So now small businesses can stay in their place without having to get hammered by rent. And even better, now the retirees, not only do they get a percentage cut on their property tax every year, but it's cut in half off the bat. Many of them own their homes. Not all, but many own their homes outright. All of a sudden, their monthly cost just comes down immediately. They will stay. I want the youth to stay and build. I want businesses to stay. And I want our retirees to spend their pensions here. That's just one plan that deals with all of that. And even the best part of the whole thing, if the money comes directly from Albany, now all those administrators that we have in the school districts, we don't need them. We have a bunch of administrators in school districts that are getting paid $300,000 a year that all they do is check boxes for the state or the federal government. They need to go. I don't have to fire them and I won't. Local school districts will. They will have no need for them. So the good administrators stay and the ones who don't have real value, they get let go. But Larry, you're saying some administrators are going to get fired. Yes, they're not going to vote for me anyway. Teachers unions hate me. They're not going to vote for me anyway. So I don't care if I make them angry. But they need to go because the budget is too big. We have to fix it. We have to make something happen. If we don't, this entire state is going to go under. You might say, but Larry, Democrats have policies, Republicans have policies. That's a lie. They don't have policies at all. What the governor does is create more commissions, which means she puts more money into commissions and offices and gives her cronies jobs, which is nice for them, but not nice for us. You can't find a situation here in New York State to where the left and the right talk to each other and solve a problem. The right yells at the left yells at the right. We become deeper and deeper divided. The only way of fixing this is by having an actual coalition, which is why I have the Forward Party behind me, the Libertarian Party behind me, and Unite New York behind me. I have all three behind me, creating an actual coalition, showing that left and right and middle can come together and fix things. I talk the talk. Now I'm walking the walk. This is the year.
That Forward Party, is that the Andrew Yang party?
That is correct. Yes.
Just tell me a little bit more about that. What exactly do they stand for? Why did he create his own party?
Because he realized the same thing that I did, and that is the two-party system is failing us horribly. We're getting nothing done. We don't solve problems because each problem becomes a wedge issue. You've seen it. You've gotten an email or you've gotten a text from your local Republican or Democrat, And all it says is this. I'm going to give you what it says. Dear name that is good for us, meaning either patriot if you're on the right, or, lover if you're on the left, or whatever the case may be. The other guy is bad. Let's stop the other guy. Give me money. There's nothing that says what I'm going to do to solve anything, because they're not. He realizes the two-party system is broken. I realize it's broken. Unite realizes it's broken. We have to fix it. And we have what's called the BRO program. Yes, BRO. Sounds funny, I know. B stands for ballot access. It should be easier to get on the ballot, and it isn't. It is so hard. New York State threw me off the ballot. I got ballot access for the Libertarian Party in 2018. And after I got it, most people don't know this, the next year, we had 107 victories, Libertarian victories in this state. I crossed the state again. I got 107 people who won with a Libertarian line. All of a sudden, the year after, gone, removed. In the budget, just ended. And everything I worked for, destroyed. Why? Because Democrats, Republicans, and whichever one you are listening or watching, understand your party goes out of its way every single year to sue, to throw people off the ballot. I'm one of them. They'll try and throw off the ballot also. Every single time. They remove your choice, which removes your voice. So you have no choice in this. They're making it a non-functioning democracy. So we're now red and blue districts. They just select who they want to select, and then that becomes your guy or gal, period. Look what happened in New York State already. No primary in the Democratic Party, no primary Republican Party. Even if you're a Republican and Democrat, you don't get to pick your own person. The party picks, and we all know that only one or two people wins in November. Either an outsider, I hope that's me, or a current governor who's the Democrat. That's who wins. That's your only choice. If I don't run, you have no choice. We do not have a functioning democracy in this state. The Democratic Party picks whoever's going to win. That's it, unless a guy like me wins. He understands that. So B is ballot access. R is ranked choice voting. That is so critically important. And we have it in New York City right now for primaries, because the Democrats run New York City, so they want to have it in their own primaries. And what ranked choice voting means is it allows you to vote for the person you really want, whether you think they can win or not, whether they're a big party or not, but then allows you to rank the next person and make them safely. Let's say you're a Democrat and you're scared of Republicans. Okay, I got it. Vote Larry Sharpe first, and then Democrat second. If I don't win, your vote goes Democrat. Say you're Republican. You hate Democrats. Okay, no worries. Vote for me first, Republican second. If I don't win, your vote goes to Republican. It creates a safety valve, and the wasted vote theory goes away. And they know that. That's why they don't want it. Because what would happen is, even if I lose, imagine if on the first round, I got 20% of the vote. It tells them, wait a minute, you've got to start thinking about what Larry Sharpe's saying. It allows smaller parties to show the two big parties exactly what they care about. Imagine if we just had the rent's too damn high party, right? Imagine if that party got 15% of the vote. You got to handle rent. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, you have to solve a problem. And they know that. That's why ranked choice voting is critical. We have to fix that. So BRO, B-R-O, ballot access, ranked choice voting, and last, open primaries. We got to allow people to vote for who they want, when they want. Just because you're registered in a party, why can't you vote? Parties aren't even the Constitution. This is a thing we made up. The parties are controlling our nation and our state, and they shouldn't. So ballot access, ranked choice voting, open primaries. Unite is on board with that because they realize that too. Forward Party, 100% on board with that. They realize that too. Libertarian Party, 100% on board with that. We all realize that without third parties, without some of the greatest duopoly, this nation is literally finished. This state is never going to grow. All we're doing is getting a bigger budget with less people. That's a recipe for destruction.
Gotcha. All right, Larry, we're coming near the end of our window, but I want to make sure we get in any other important messages that you wanted to include in this. And I am curious, since you talked about ballot access, just briefly, when do you start your process? When do you start collecting your signatures? But then also any sort of closing remarks you might have.
So I want to make clear, when people always say, well, I wish third parties would be on the ballot, I wish we'd hear more about them. It is going to take me literally 6 weeks I have 6 weeks to collect 45,000 signatures across this state. That is going to cost me and my campaign and my party at least $200,000. Let me be clear about that. So you can't even get on the ballot unless you can raise $200,000. And when I raise that money, that won't go to ads and things like that. That'll have to go to people that get out there and try to get signatures. So what do Democrats, Republicans do? They just get on the ballot free. They raise millions of dollars, and getting on the ballot is free. I have to raise 200,000, which is murder for a third party, and it just gets me on the ballot. Not one commercial, nothing else whatsoever. And here's the worst part: when I get my signatures, I will guarantee you, Republicans and Democrats will hire people with the money that you gave them to go into the board of elections and challenge every single signature, and and try to throw me off the ballot. That's what I will have to do. Now, here's the worst part: that means I have to get 60,000 signatures to have any chance of getting on the ballot. That may be $250,000. Now I'm trying to get multiple lines so I can have some impact. That's $500,000 I will have to raise and use to just get on the ballot. Let me ask you, is there anybody listening, anybody watching, who happens to have $500,000 laying around if they want to get on the ballot, just to be on the ballot so someone can vote for them? Doesn't count putting a team together, putting up a website, coming up with a policy team, nothing. This is a rich person's game or an establishment person's game, and we keep fighting for no reason. But you remember something: when I ran in 2018, I was the only person not getting a government check. I'm running now, I'm the only person not getting a government check. This is an establishment person's game. We have to change it. That's how hard this is.